There are some games that those who play them will never forget. No matter how many times they put it down and play another game, they will never forget the memories and feelings that came from playing that game. Even when the company who made the game wants you to either forget about the game or stay quiet about it, there is a certain part of the game that can never be silenced. I would say that there happen to be a lot of games like this. I would go as far as to say that games like this are common. But the reason they are common is not because they are made non-stop. No, the reason they are common is because they defined an era. During the turn of the century, gaming was finally starting to explode in popularity. Consoles were selling, and games were being made. However, something even bigger happened. Personal computers were brought to many homes, schools, and workplaces, and they were finally functional enough that almost everyone could justify having one. PC gaming also had the functionality of the internet, enabling players to connect online, and over 10 years since the first game in the series, a game would come out that would show what could be done. Wolfenstein Enemy Territory is an old game. It came out in 2003, after a single-player campaign fell through for a new Return to Castle Wolfenstein expansion, and thus the multiplayer was released for free. The game was fairly popular, but it required community-hosted servers to run, and so not everyone heard about it and played the game. However, while looking for old games that would pretty much run on anything from the last 2 decades, I stumbled across it and decided to try it. This took me down a long rabbit hole that showed me what this game has to offer and why it still pulls hundreds of players even today. For those unfamiliar with the game, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory is a large-scale PvP World War II class shooter. Games are typically played with teams ranging from 3v3 to 8v8, but the game supports up to 32v32 players if you're up for the chaos. And yes, finding a server with close to that many people is still possible today if you're on the right platforms. Which brings us to the topic of how people played the game. While the original game still works for playing some servers, many players, me included, play on ETLegacy, a modernized port of the game which both runs and looks better. The reason ETLegacy even exists is because Wolfenstein Enemy Territory's source code was released under the GNU General Public License in 2010, enabling easier modding, full ports, and more. I discovered that Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was on GOG for free, so I grabbed it and started playing it. I was quickly stopped by my realization that the game was online only, and I had poor internet and no friends to play it with. Because of this, I started researching if there was a mod for bots, which led me to discover Omnibot, a mod that adds bot support and custom commands. But it was for ETLegacy, which led me to discovering that. I picked up ETLegacy and immediately started a match. After some troubleshooting, I was able to get Omnibot working. I played a few matches, then some more, then even more. Then I realized that I actually really enjoyed the game. The fact that if you die to something that would kill you outright, the game doesn't even show you die, it just sends you to spectate another player.
The main entrance! Old city reclaimed!
Things like this made me fall in love with it, and I started looking into mods. I realized that a Star Wars mod would be incredibly fun, as I had started playing Star Wars Battlefront 2004 and was a huge fan of the Galactic Contention mod for the game's squad. I dug around a few sites and eventually found an unfinished mod that transferred assets from Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast to Wolfenstein ET. The only problem was, the mod was incompatible with ETLegacy. Putting the mod into ETLegacy just caused the game to crash when starting, so I decided to port it over myself.
Objective taken. Objective taken.
I started small, and with the help of my good friend Al, I was able to transfer the body textures without anything crashing. Then guns, then sounds, weapons, shaders, maps, and many more things until the game felt like a real Star Wars game. The nice thing was that it was only an asset swap, and so no code was changed. The thing was, there were a lot of problems. For one, the knives are supposed to become lightsabers from the mod, but only the Axis knife worked, not the allied one. I tried a lot of things and even bricked my temporary version of the mod for a while, but I could not find the source of the issue. Another problem was that I had to delete some config files from the mod because they were preventing me from starting a game. These and other problems all added up to show why the mod wasn't compatible with ETLegacy when trying to run the mod by itself. But after a few days of work, the port was in a place where I was happy enough that I actually played quite a bit with it on. And while I'm not very good at the game, I still enjoy playing, especially if it is modded. It is possible that there are other efforts to revive this mod, but I haven't been able to find any during my light research. From what I could find, there isn't a lot of online content regarding the game, so there's a chance that what I'm doing here has been done before, but I was not aware of it. The process of creating it was quite simple. First, I would look inside the original mod folder for the assets I wanted. Then, I would manually transfer over the assets, one folder at a time. I would transfer the assets into the new folder I was creating, which I would then transfer to the game files of ETLegacy. With many mistakes made along the way, lessons learned, files explored, and softwares downloaded, I had finally produced a transfer that I was happy with. The whole process taught me a lot about the differences between the engines of ETLegacy and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Would I suggest you do this yourself? If you know what you are doing. You can't just transfer all the files willy-nilly and expect it to work. Lots of things break, and you have to be ready to problem solve when they do. And that is all for today. If you would like, I could make a separate video about which files I didn't include, how to do what I did, and the process I went through to get what I have now. I could go in more in depth, but that is out of the scope of this video. Thank you for watching, and don't be a casualty.